morning.
Hello.
Andy's
Just
not even
not
holding his
even.
microphone.
I mean, you guys start from out of nowhere.
We didn't start from out of
Just
nowhere.
we're sitting here
gotta know the
with the
clap.
microphones and the cameras and everything. I don't know when the show's about
God,
to
you
start.
pour the guy one drink.
This guy
completely
does
off the fucking rails.
one TV show, and he's too
Jesus
good for a
Christ.
podcast.
That was the most casual.
You let a guy host a thing, and
I got a
too
text I was looking at.
good. What are those mustard-colored pants?
Well, it's khaki pants. It's mustard-colored shoes.
There's a good
Are
chance.
the pants mustard or khaki?
No, the pants
They
are
look like a
khaki.
honey
They're
mustard.
Just khaki.
You see Andy Woodhull on the
khaki.
wild, there's a good chance he's got mustard something on. Okay?
He does love a mustard
Could be a
colored
stain,
thing.
but he's got mustard
Well, I
something
had
on.
this one mustard-colored shirt, and I got compliments on it, so I just decided this is my color. I'm wearing this all the time.
Can I say something?
Are you high right now?
No.
You
Your
tell me.
eyes just got real high, didn't they?
A little high, yeah.
Nah.
You
All
tell
right,
me
so
if
nobody on this podcast took gummies 20 minutes ago? Are we saying that? To the audience.
You took gummies 20 minutes ago. You got a beer and a glass of whiskey next to you. This should go good.
Totally good. You know, I'll say this. I've probably had 4 drinks in the last 6 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
and then I do have a beer and a whiskey right now. I was just having a beer,
Uh-huh.
and Andy supplied the whiskey, and then I think now we just take a gummy and have all the whiskey. But when I did a kid's birthday party today at a bowling alley.
You can't do those sober.
Yeah.
Well, I did, and I will tell you this: I did it. It is when it's I don't know. We invited the whole class.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you are aware of it, but when I was 12 years old, I had a birthday party.
Everybody
and
drink. That's what
So we had a birthday party, and nobody came. So I get all that anxiety for my kids.
Uh-huh.
Because the last thing I want is my
What was
kids.
it? Bigfoot pizzas?
It was Bigfoot pizza. Have I told you the story?
Yeah,
About
Bigfoot pizzas.
Had
I think
2
it's happened to
Bigfoot
a different
pizzas.
guy. now.
Grandma
With
got
my
mad,
grandma
wanted to leave.
there. Grandma had to go.
Yeah.
And the last thing I want is for my kids to have a birthday like that and then have to talk about it the rest of their lives. You know?
And that's why you don't invite
That's
their
the rule.
grandmas. Is that correct?
So we have banned grandmas from parties.
Uh-huh.
But so I'm a big invite the whole class. I'm also big on when you get invited to a birthday party, you go.
You show up.
I'm not necessarily that way in my life, but I'm not a kid. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
I get invited. I got to think of a way out of it.
Yeah.
Let me just cross my legs
You
here.
got trauma.
So we invite the whole class. We get a good turnout. Great turnout. Lots of kids, but it's a lot of kids, and they're at a bowling alley, and they don't let you put the names in, so kids don't know when it's their turn. And when a kid doesn't know when it's their turn, you know when their turn is? Now.
All the time.
It's now.
Yeah.
There's a line. People are going 4 at a time. I've never seen anything like
Down
it.
one lane?
Yeah. We had a bunch of balls stuck in the gutter.
Probably. A lot of strikes,
Harp
4
said,
balls at a time.
Harp said one kid kept throwing his ball down the gutter and was like shocked that every time it didn't hit pins, like a golfer watching a ball go by the hole.
Uh-huh.
And she realized that he thought the gutter just led the ball to the pins.
Well, that's what I was about to
happens in
say.
mini golf
What kind of
sometimes.
kids party you throwing where there's no gutters on the bowling lanes?
You mean bumpers?
Yeah. What did I say?
You said gutters.
Gutters.
We brought in the bumpers.
I meant bumpers.
So these
You
things,
knew I meant.
they push a
bumpers.
button, the bumpers pop
Mhm.
up. But we're there, and I didn't have an area of beer. Also, the Niners are playing on the huge screen skis, so I didn't have a beer there. And I thought, you know what? If there's ever a day I'd earned one, it's watching the old Miami Dolphins beat the Patriots. So I was just sitting here having that. Andy said he's bringing whiskey. You come with nothing. Nobody said anything about that.
I came with a good attitude. I put my best pants on. I brought the camera over. I feel like I'm bringing it. I done brought it.
How many parents stay for the party?
All now, not all.
All stay.
We're talking like I remember getting dropped off 100% of the time if I was even given a ride there. But these now parties, and I stay at every one. I go, they stay, we all stay.
Would you get dropped off if it was at a place? I'd get dropped off at a house, but would you get dropped off at a place?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but also, I mean, would you grow up with money? People having parties at places.
Well, Leaps and Bounds or a Discovery Zone, perhaps a skating rink.
Skating rink, sure.
Yeah.
Dude, I got dropped off at places. Now, if a parent drops a kid off, which I've had happen, it's like the kid really wanted to come, but we got a kidney transplant we got to get to, and they email you leading up to it like multiple times. They're like, are you sure it's okay? They come in, they hand off, they shake your hand, they give you the food allergies, and then they leave. My mom did it. She didn't even like go in.
Didn't stop the
Didn't
car.
stop. I rolled out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that I went to parties where my parents didn't know the other parents.
Yeah, I think that I feel like this whole all the parents of every kid in your kid's class, this whole all the parents knowing each other, it feels new. That feels like a new thing.
It's tough for party planning too, because now you're like, oh, I'm having 10 kids, but you're also having 20 adults in addition to the 10 kids.
Drinks
And
and
siblings.
food for the adults.
And
siblings.
the siblings
I
get
draw
to
a
come?
line.
We opened the bar up when we were there too,
Really?
which I found out late in the evening, or late in the party when Heather told me. I didn't realize we had done it.
It wasn't part of the package.
Oh, so you just word got out to the parents. The Johnagins got the bar.
I think Heather just went around telling people to grab some of the bar. It's on us. And we had people come up being like, "Hey, that's a great move."
I thought you opened the bar. I thought there was like a Tommy Johnagin walks by, grabs a bottle from behind, and says, "Hey, bar's open," you know.
What?
No, you grab a
What
bottle.
scenario did you
The
make?
bar is closed. The bar's not even open. You open the bar because you rented out the bowling alley, correct?
Yeah.
In my mind, that there was no one
I
working
feel
the
like
bar.
if there wasn't a term that's well known just as an open bar, you'd have a little leg to stand on here.
No,
You're so far off the rockers right now.
I'm close. I haven't had a drink of whiskey in years. I've had 2 so far, so it's getting pretty
Are you
weird.
gonna feel something?
No, I'll feel something. My face already feels warm.
Do you really?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh boy.
Oh, you're feeling it. It's a good whiskey too.
Humid. I mean, it
It's
doesn't.
good.
It doesn't hurt.
Humid.
You know, I like that.
Since
I like that it doesn't hurt. Most whiskeys out there, they hurt.
Yeah, they hurt you when you drink.
They
them,
don't feel good.
This one's smooth.
I feel like not enough people talk about that in alcohol in general. Most alcohol hurts you.
But you're saying like you experience it the same as everyone else, which is not true.
Yeah, well, you're an insane person. We're
No, some
two
people-
ends of the spectrum. You and I
I
are
drink like
standing on
water.
2 opposite ends of a basketball
No.
gym.
I'll take someone give me a drink of a mezcal, and I was like, well, there's something here. It's not like it hurt. It's like a spice, not spicy,
smoky.
even smoky.
Yeah, mezcal,
but
real
like
smoky.
overwhelmingly smoky.
Very smoky mezcal.
Yeah, that's the difference between tequila and mezcal, right? Is that the mezcal? I mean, there's a bit more nuanced, specific difference.
Do you know the difference between jam and jelly?
What is the
No,
difference
I'd love
between
to.
jam and jelly?
I've always been curious.
This
If
is
you could
interesting
tell
for
me,
the podcast.
if you could break the news. Well, guys,
I can't jelly a dick in your ass.
I get
No,
it
he's gonna
now.
do it.
I get it now. Now, I believe maybe I don't know what week it was at this point, but we did say we'd love
This
to
is
get
the shirt from the party.
What is it?
They made shirts for the
Oh,
party.
you guys gave out shirts.
The O in Los Angeles is a bowling ball.
That's pretty cool. Pretty cool shirt.
Who made that? The
I'm not gonna
extended
say who
fam?
made it because it may be a full rip up of the Dodgers Los Angeles with a bowling
No,
ball.
there's
in it.
no. I've seen the Dodgers logo. There's no bowling ball in it.
Dodgers don't
That's what
have
we'll
a
say.
patent
You're
on
good.
cursive writing. Last I checked.
Exactly, or blue and white, or that big long bar on the
Well,
bottom.
I'm just going through a big rigmarole. Can you say that? I don't know the origin, and I hope it's
Rigmarole?
Rigmarole. We
I
all
think you
said
can
it.
say rigmarole.
Yeah, I think we can
All
say
right.
rigmarole.
it just has too many G's to feel comfortable with.
Yeah, too many R's, too many G's.
Wait, what race do you think it refers to?
I'm not doing that. No,
I'll
no,
give
no.
it a Google. While
But,
you vamp rigmarole.
Rigmarole.
Here's how you know if it's okay to say. If you hear what we're saying right now,
Yeah.
then you'll know.
The
it's fine.
You know what word I've become real uncomfortable with? I always have been uncomfortable with. You ever play like a card game and you play a card, but you played a card that you're not allowed to play?
I don't know. Are
And
you
then I
okay
say-
saying what you're about to say?
Yeah.
I don't even know what it
No.
is.
You know the word that it's. Now I feel weird saying the word. It's a word that it's like we should come up with a different word
We
for
should
that.
come up with a different word for that. I tried to do
Is
a
it
bit
go fish?
to take the heat off you, Andy. When I moved to New York City, I tried to get a bit off the ground of. I don't like saying the word bodega. Bodega feels like we shouldn't be allowed to say.
Oh
it.
yeah, bodega.
Bodega is a word that I'm like, it feels uncomfortable. It's totally fine. It just
Yeah.
means store, but
Is your word totally fine? The
My
card?
word is renege. Renege, like when you play a card
Yeah.
in
Pull it back.
spades or euchre
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
you're not supposed to have played. That's called reneging.
I know.
I know it doesn't feel good though, right?
No, I don't like
it
it.
didn't feel good the second time.
I
you
don't
said
like
it. It feels
being-
you stuck the landing on the first
I
one.
don't like being the guy when they're gonna
Man.
cut. They're gonna cut to the shot. I just have to be sitting next to you for it.
And you
Well,
took
it's just weird. You know, the topic came up. I'm saying
I
it's a
also
word I
think.
don't feel
What are you
comfortable with.
saying?
Now I don't want to say
yeah,
it again.
because you took a drink in between the first time and
Yeah,
the second time.
I
you
think
said
you're
The
saying it wrong
second
also.
time you
Spelled
said it-
R-E-N-E-G, renege.
Yeah.
Okay, you got a neg. You got a
Renege.
neg.
Yeah.
Renege.
You
Yeah.
can't egg.
Mhm.
You got a eh.
Mhm.
Andy, you just became a television show host. Don't get canceled immediately. We're good with rigmarole, guys. Rigmarole.
All right.
Mm.
Clear
You get a
path on
definition?
rigmarole definition. Glad you asked, Andy. Here it is coming
The
up.
reason I said that word as
Huh?
you're looking is because I just have a guy as a little Easter egg in the show that's coming out this Christmas. He's holding a mug, the mug that is what is it, Wally? No. The moose. Is it Wally? The
Hmm?
moose in
Right.
Vacation, and then it's the one they're drinking out of in Christmas Vacation.
Mm-hmm.
So our guy just have him holding it. Nobody says anything, and it's just like if you notice it, you notice it. And then got a whole big thing from a bunch of lawyers being like, "You're out of your fucking mind. We got to create a special effect shot." I was like, "Has anyone
Really?
asked?" And they were like, "We haven't heard back. And if we don't hear back and you use it, this is like $500,000 per scene,
What?
per use, yada yada." And then I get a little like annoyed. I'm like, "This has been in here for
Yeah.
months now."
Yeah.
So who didn't? I go. Someone's got to walk me through the
Mhm.
mistakes that were made, and then also, can we try? And we've VFX shot it. It costs a lot of money. Then they finally contact him, and we get permission. But we had to get the permission to keep it in.
That's how comfortable those people feel just to willingly admit they were not paying attention for months at a time is the issue here.
It's crazy.
And it's crazy that they're just like, hey, scrap it. We never got it. Like, we didn't. They don't know you can't use it.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Mm-hmm.
That's wild.
Rigmarole, a lengthy and complicated procedure. He went through the rigmarole of securing the front door. That feels like a bad example sentence. I don't know what kind of fucking front door
Not
you've
if someone's trying to break in.
What?
And you got a bunch of latches.
Out of all the rigmaroles that have happened, that's the one they pick.
Yeah.
Let's say you're
Locking
a
a
three-little
door.
pig. You don't think that's a bit of a rigmarole trying to keep that big bad
Can
wolf out?
That's a great point.
On topic with the 3 Little Pigs.
Maybe you live in an escape room.
My kids' class at the end of the year last year, they did a little show, a play, whatever. They did the 3 Little Pigs.
Mm-hmm.
I completely forgot that they die. He kills the first 2
Yeah.
dead.
Yeah. Sure.
Every version that I remember, which really does explain also
How graphic were the
how
deaths
I
in the
remember
play?
blood.
This is Hollywood, We
Oh yes,
the effects
special
budgets are out of control.
But I remember the other pigs running to the next sibling's house.
I remember that too.
Was this
Yeah.
a Bernstein
remember that
Bears situation? What's that called? Mandela effect?
Mandela
You guys
effect.
were just wrong. Those pigs have been dead for years.
No, I think there are versions where the 3 Little Pigs make it.
I think you two live in a fantasy
I think
land.
the original-
pigs die. Get over it.
I think the original version. I also think there's a version of Little Red Riding Hood where they cut the wolf open, and Little Red Riding Hood and Grandma come out.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Wouldn't that
versus
be
them
nice,
be
Tommy,
dead.
if that's how it worked? If they were alive in the stomach. No, if I'm being honest with you, I think I had the same thing in my head that the 2 little pigs ran to the third house.
And they
then
ran.
Then they all survived. They all looked out the window of the little brick house
Yeah.
as they were good. A lot of children's stories of threes. It's 3 bears, these 3 little pigs. I think there's like a 3. I remember in 2nd grade I did a play, but it was with trolls under a bridge.
The 3 trolls.
The 3 trolls? 3 trolls. We were 3 trolls. I don't remember any.
Trois
Three of
trolls.
us.
Trois trolls.
All I remember is I was a troll and I fucking crushed it. That's all I remember. Just killed this.
Were there
troll
3
roll.
of them?
There was 3 for sure.
You remember any of your
Oh, we
lines?
had to answer questions. 3 questions.
Yeah. Is this ringing a bell?
No.
Okay.
Do you remember any of your lines?
I don't remember any of my lines. I remember I crouched down. I was acting ass off 2nd grade. Teacher couldn't believe it. Rave reviews.
Harper, big play coming up. They go, hey, we're going to talk. We got to play. We're going to pick what part you want to audition for. All right, everybody? This is Los Angeles. This is where dreams are made. They go, all right, so we're gonna figure out what parts you want. Harper raises her hand and she goes, "What's the funniest part in the play?"
Hell yeah.
And the teacher goes, "I thought you'd ask that." And they say it's this one, which is like the biggest part or one of the bigger parts,
Yeah.
and it's the funniest. And Harp said it may be the only funny one. And auditions, boom, she auditions. 5 go in, 2 come out. They do callbacks. She gets a callback. She goes in. 1 comes out with the part, and that is one my kid.
You gotta love that. You
Yeah,
gotta
love it. When's
that.
the play?
It's an end of the semester or school year. It takes the whole. It's a
When's
long
the
time.
play, and can we go?
No,
Is it a
I'll record
parents
it.
only?
I record it.
Well,
every
I
year.
love 12 Angry Men. I'd love to see it. So
That's the play they're
That's the
doing.
play
12
they're doing,
Angry
12
Men.
Angry Men.
There's not many funny parts in there.
And
Yeah.
she's going to be
You got
the what do you call it? The person that's
The woman.
in charge of the jury. The foreman.
the
Foreman.
four-person.
She's the foreman.
The 4-person. I auditioned for a play. I got the part
Recently,
in junior high school, and for the audition process,
do you call that just high school since you didn't graduate?
no, I went to high school. How dare you? B, I went to high school. I made it all the way to senior year. So I was there. I saw what the inside looked like. Okay, saw the bathrooms. And Andy, you're laughing a little too hard at that. I don't think
That's a good one.
I don't know that it was the best bit of the pod, but you were acting like it was the best bit you ever heard. Now, I auditioned for a play in junior high school, and you could either memorize a scene, a monologue, or tell a joke. And I memorized a joke from Reader's Digest and told it to my teacher, got the part.
Do you remember the joke?
I was trying to remember it. I don't remember all of it. It's a guy at a bar. He's got a bird and a frog. And
Sounds like a joke you'd like.
I'm already in. Yeah.
Mhm.
Got a bird and a frog. And the guy goes, "What's the deal with the bird and the frog?" He goes, "Well, got a singing bird." And he goes, "No, you don't." He goes, "I swear to God, I got a singing bird." And it goes on. Bird sings a whole song, does a whole little dance. The guy's, "I can't believe it. I got to have this bird." He sells him bird for $500. The bartender comes over. He's like, "You could have got way more than $500 for that bird." He goes, "Well, it's all the frog. He's a great ventriloquist." Is that? I didn't do justice to the bit, but that's how it ended. The frog was a ventriloquist doing the song for the bird. And I got the part. You know, here we sit before you.
Pretty good.
There I sit before you. Now, what I was trying to get into earlier before I was so rudely interrupted by both of you is that we had discussed segments for this podcast.
Oh.
And I
Did
know
you
that
do it?
you both.
No.
I did.
You
Came
did? I was pretty busy last week.
You
Well,
were pretty
we're
busy.
all busy, but we did it.
I came with a.
Did she poop over there?
I don't know. It sounded like she was sneezing.
Oh, sorry, talking about my wife.
I came with a bit. A little new segment. It's called "What Would You Do?"
Ah,
What would you do?
I don't know that. Is this
Huh?
new? Why do I not like it already?
What would you do?
Oh, what would I do?
What would you do if your son was at home crying all alone on the bedroom floor because he's hungry? You guys remember that song?
No.
And the only way to feed him is to sleep with a man for a little bit of money, and his daddy's gone.
Is that a Smash
He's
Mouth
smoking
song?
rock now, in and out of lockdown. I ain't got a job now. So for you, this is just a good time, but for me, this is what I call life. You guys don't remember that song?
Hold on, keep doing it.
That's all.
I'm starting to get it if you could do more.
And the only way to feed him is to sleep with a man
Oh,
for
yeah.
a little bit of money, and his dad is gone. We're smoking rock now. Nothing.
No,
I'm
was a
just
hit
getting
starting
it.
to
catch
It
it,
helped.
but
It helped. It
Get
was
to
good.
the hook.
That I don't remember the hook. That was the hook to me.
You got to do the hook.
You
That
can't
might
know the
be
hook?
the
You
hook.
don't- I mean, you don't learn a song from the verse.
I think the song is called "What Would You Do?" But anyway, here's my "What Would You Do," guys. All right. So I'm walking.
Go.
Moore's been out of town for damn near 2 months. Okay.
Wow. Where's
I've-
she been?
She went to a zoo conference for all the zoos in the country. They got together in Columbus, Ohio, talked zoo.
Well, I'll
and
tell you
then they
this.
all went
This
their separate ways.
This is when you write the movie about the animals
Hmm.
seizing an opportunity.
because they're
All the animals in all the zoos,
Uh-huh.
they Ocean's 11 their way out. Now society's a bit different.
You think I can?
You know what I mean?
I can't live in a house. Someone who's devoted their life to zoos and write a movie about how all these animals got to get out of this fucking zoo.
Oh, that would be great though. All the animals get out. They're just like in the parks and stuff.
Does she hate Madagascar?
I mean, I don't know that she loves the premise of Madagascar, but I think, how can you not like Madagascar? Real fun time, great songs.
Yeah.
But so she's been out of town, so I've been walking this dog
Yes.
by
indeed.
myself all day, every day. Okay.
You don't feel safe outside?
Yeah, I can't go out alone. But we're on a walk last night before, doesn't matter, in the past, okay? And we're walking down, all of a sudden, out of a yard, under a fence, a little dog comes running out.
Yeah.
And like charges. It's across the street from us. It charges to the other sidewalk, starts barking. It's like, it's chest puffed out. It's really giving us the business. Now, my dog is a sweet dog, but she is not dog friendly. So I freeze. And also, my dog's fucking huge, and this dog is really talking a lot of shit right now. So I start walking the other way. This dog then runs across the street and starts chasing us up the street. So I turn and I run with my dog away from this little dog. And this dog is now out of where it lives. It's just loose. We're like 3 or 4 houses away on the other side of the street. And I'm far enough away that I'm just watching it. It's just walking around. And so I go and I take my dog back I'm like 3 or 4 blocks away. I take my dog back to our apartment. Then I run back to where the dog is to see if it's there. Because another thing about where we live, Coyote Central, if that dog is out all night, that dog is fucking dead. We see signs in our neighborhood all the time. It's like, have you seen Tiny? And it's like, Tiny did not make it, dude. You got to give up. Chalk that up as an L. Tiny is dead. So I run back, and dog is still there, but it won't let me get close to it. It's being a real asshole about this. So I know the house it came from. I go ring the doorbell. No answer at the door. Okay. Then I walk down the walkway. I see police officer just happens to be parked across the street. I go, I wave to
dog gets shot.
I go to the wave to the police officer. I go, hey, I know this is not your thing, but that dog's out of its yard. I can't get close to it. I rang the doorbell. I don't really know what else to do. And she's like, well, we're not allowed to do anything. And I was like,
also,
okay.
We don't want to.
Yeah. She was literally eating a salad out of a bowl when I came up to her.
You know how these cops love their salads.
And she was like, well, we could call the Humane Society. And I was like, I don't know. I feel like I've done all I can do here. I'm talking to you. And then I leave. I leave the dog to its, its fate. Then, so I put it to you first. What do you guys do in that scenario?
I would have told a shorter version of that story.
Okay. Well, you needed all the
do you mean if I was in?
Yeah.
I think I misunderstood the...
I felt like I told you a riveting. I told you a riveting tale about a tiny dog.
So if I'm that person...
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Did you do the thing where you run away from the dog as opposed to the dog?
Yeah, I had my dog with me. I ran away
but
from
like
the
when
dog.
you were trying to catch it and it wouldn't come, you were like...
No, I didn't chase it. It was in a yard. I just walked up. I was like, kind of like,
ran away.
Hey, it was barking at me, like it was getting real aggressive with me. I couldn't get close to it.
I would have maybe gone and gotten some kind of meat.
Got a little treat.
Yeah,
tried to coax.
I mean, this depends on how aggressive this dog was. Like
it's tiny.
I'm just
dog.
a couple years into being cool with dogs.
It's like Jolene's. It's like a Jolene sized dog.
Don't say my dog's name on the air.
It's a tiny ass dog. Andy, you're a dog lover. I'm going to come to you on this.
Meat.
You're a dog lover. What do you do here?
I think the dog would have been fine with me approaching it because dogs can sense that I'm cool with dogs.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah, I don't think I would have had any trouble getting to this dog.
Now, I mean, I told you a story about how I was walking my dog at the time. I'm cool. I'm cool with dogs. But here's where...
Doesn't seem like it.
Here's where you really come out looking like a hero in this, is that the next morning, I take my dog on a walk.
It's with Andy?
It's with Andy. And we walk past the same house. Dog's still there the next morning. Still out. And I go, well, this dog's a survivor. I mean...
Wait, it was out?
It was just out. It was just loose still. And so I was like, well, certainly someone... I was with my dog again. I can't go up to it. And then we do a lap around the block, come back. There's now 3 people with the dog holding it, snuggling its face.
I mean, we got bad dog owners.
Licking it.
I ain't got a bad dog
Did
owner.
you ever
Real bad
think about
dog
after
owner.
you get Birdie back in the house, that's Alex's dog's name? I just want to be fair that his dog's name's on the
Is there a
internet now,
bug
too.
on your shirt?
It
Is it a
might be
mosquito?
Ash.
It's got to be Ash.
That's
It's Ash all
mosquito.
day. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
Ash.
That's Ash.
You didn't think about get Birdie back in the house and then try to approach the dog again without
I did do
your
that.
giant dog? Oh, you did?
I did that. I took Birdie back and then I ran back. Guys, I mean, there was no unnecessary details in the story. I told it very quickly. You know what I think was happening there is that you two were just like, I didn't bring my own topics. Now
I did.
I have stuff to talk about.
do you? Okay.
I
Well,
just
I have a
forgot
segment
I
idea.
forgot to have a segment idea.
Okay.
I mean, we had an assignment. I will say, first of all, I will say that
Mhm.
when the gummy starts kicking in, I will say, I noticed it last time.
Uh-huh.
So let's just all pay attention to that.
Okay.
Kind of use that as kind of some kind of warning sign or a red flag or a
That's-
green flag.
That's when we
Let's
know.
call it a green flag.
Okay.
So I will say
Mm-hmm.
that it's good. I would
Oh
I
yeah.
would segment that could be a thing.
That's lock stocked.
It's
Yeah.
good is when you have something that is not great. It's not the best thing you've ever eaten, seen, or heard, or read,
But not
but it's
everything-
good,
not
and you
everything
should
has
be
to be.
able. We're in
Yeah.
a place now where it's hard to recommend things that are good. So I'm gonna double stamp my triple stamp that it's good is good, and we should be doing it.
So that was what you
Nope,
brought?
I have a different one
Okay.
that's a little bit of a twist on the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's bad.
It's bad.
It's also I think I did put actual thought into this that top stories and local sex or crime time and like I do think that we're
Yeah,
not
of
going to
course.
baby
Yeah, we
the
gotta
bathwater
get
with
those,
this
yeah.
that we should always remember because there's times where a story pops up and I just we've been doing this podcast since we were 7 years old.
Mm-hmm.
It is that's local sex or that's a crime time and just haven't been sharing them.
Mhm.
I think we share and share alike.
Mm-hmm.
Bring those segment back anytime we want. Then the new one was I have zero clarity on how this is going to play,
Okay.
but it's good, better, best.
Okay.
You come in with one. You go, hey, I got something.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's good.
Andy's not fucking paying attention. I'm just
Andy's-
gonna
Well,
say-
the dog like needs
I mean,
some
he's not
attention.
paying
I mean, I don't
attention.
know.
Well,
He has
I
no
need
res-
attention.
You know what? Andy
Come
has
on.
zero respect
It's
for our
good, better,
segments.
best. It's good, better, best.
Zero
I'm paying
respect for our
attention.
segments.
So you bring something that you think is best, and
Uh-huh.
then not a competitive thing, but like I got a high bar here. I got a burner, but then it also lets you go like I got something that I think is just good,
Okay.
but I'm going to bring it to the pod. Could be a story, something that happened.
Wait, so good, better, best is you could just bring anything that fits into good,
Yeah,
better,
but
or best.
I think it's more of when we have like these broader something happened type thing. Like I would say right now it would be, you know what, Everett's birthday party today. I would say I got good.
Mm-hmm.
Then it would just be tossing back and forth to. This
I
is way too peek behind the curtain.
I got to do a bet. I have to say a better thing than Everett's birthday.
I don't even know if that's it. Here's what if it is this.
Mhm.
This is where I told you we're going to workshop these on
Yeah.
this thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking to the people listening as like we're aware that this is not there yet. But I just had a thought.
Okay.
I go, hey, I got something that's good. You then tell a story that's off of. You go, I got a birthday party story that I think is the best.
You know what you know what that is?
It doesn't have any
It's
really.
just
It's
a
not doing it.
That's just a podcast, my man.
I know, but we're trying to segment it out.
Okay. All right.
Well, you can't. Of course, it's just a fucking podcast.
But I'm
Everything
saying-
is a stupid
but-
podcast.
No, but what you described
you're
is
just trying to do it.
a conversation.
What do you
Maybe
think
a
top
bit-
stories is, or what do you
But-
think new news? Like all of it is a
Uh-huh.
way. The entire thing we're doing is a way of breaking up what would normally be a regular conversation in a
Right.
segmented way that you could sell ads around as a break if
Mhm.
we're going full behind the curtain, or at
Which-
least have a structure to the episode.
What would you do is solid. I mean,
Well,
I'm
I
getting
mean-
a lot of calls about what would
Mm.
you do. I'm getting a couple calls from Nextdoor already. See if they can add on this. Nextdoor wants in. There's something to good, better, best because the name is
I
rock
think there's
solid.
nothing.
The name is
I
rock
lost
solid.
the thread in the middle of explaining it, so I think I'm going to go and quadruple down on it's good.
Well, do you have it? It's good. Because I'd love to hear.
Well, I
about
don't
one.
have an it's good because I got it's great.
Okay.
Oh, bowling alleys with kids?
No, it's this new Zach Bryan album.
Well, how new? Like brand new?
A week ago.
Zach Bryan?
Yeah. Are you not aware?
No.
I think you are.
Tyler Childers?
There's a new Tyler Childers album too.
No, so Zach Bryan, he's a guy I told you about. He did no scalping of tickets. You had to sell them
Uh-huh.
to the app. Then people got mad because they couldn't scalp tickets. Like when his shows were sold out, they were genuinely sold out. So he switches to Ticketmaster, and then people get mad because tickets are $1,000, and it's like you can't have it all the ways. There's only a certain amount of ways.
Whew.
But he had an album. He has a song, "Something in the Orange," that you've almost certainly heard, which is great.
Yeah, that song's got 500 million plays on Spotify.
So his
How this
first
sneak by me?
album is,
I
in
am
my opinion,
furious with Spotify right now.
so fucking good. It's crazy good, and it has like "Something in the Orange," which is a full on. As soon as you hear it, you know it's something, and it's like the thing from Crazy Heart. You swear you heard it before. It's so good it can't be new. This is the thing about this new album, which I would say doesn't have a song that is "Something in the Orange." So in listening to it the first time, I was like, maybe this is good, which is not bad. We've established it's good. And I was like, maybe this is good because there's not a song on here that I'm like, that's the fucking single, that's the banger, whatever. But I've almost only listened to the album, and the whole thing together is great. I think it's so great, and I love all the songs, but none of them like significantly better than the others. He opens with a poem.
How do we feel about bands doing poems on?
I don't like poems.
It's
I
a
didn't
little
know it was
cringy.
a
I don't like
thing.
poems.
It's a little cringy.
I didn't know it was a thing.
I'd rather get the bits. Remember when they used to put just bits?
little
between-
interludes.
Yeah.
On a,
No, they would do like little comedy
Yeah.
bits on the St. Lunatics albums and stuff.
Yeah.
Eminem would do them.
Yeah, those are fun.
This I will say, there it is. I go, man, what a that's a poem. That's something.
You
And
know
then
what
the
I-
second time I go, oh yeah, that's something. And then the third time I go, feels like I'm just kind of feels like I'm sitting in the car with you, and you go, hey, you want to hear my poem? And I would say, I don't.
Yeah. I don't love a poem on an album. It feels cringy to me. Also, as a musician, just make that a song. Why?
Did someone not show up that day? You know what I mean? The bass
Forgot to write the
player
music.
rear-ended
Yeah.
somebody on the way in. What is this? I've never had it. Am I missing a whole thing? I don't have any recollection of being in the car listening to an album and hearing a poem. It's the only time it's ever happened.
A
to me.
handful. I have bands do it. The one I can think of most off the top of my head is Fall Out Boy has done it on multiple albums. Pete Wentz will write a poem and really perform the hell out of it, and very cringy every time. But I'll listen to this.
I don't know a lot of Fall Out Boy. Is he the most important guy in the band?
He's the bassist. He is the songwriter. He's not the lead singer.
So he's the songwriter.
He dated Ashley Simpson famously. I mean,
I'm just picturing the scenario.
he's married to
You got to
somebody.
have some weight. I think you got to be the lead singer
He's
or the
pretty fit.
songwriter. You got to have some, because if you're walking and we're like breaking, if we're a band and we're breaking on the album, and it's like, so we got that the thing about the heartbreak, and then we got that real rock thing, and then the ballad, and then you're just like, and then my poem.
Don't forget my poem.
We're gonna put my poem on there, right?
So you got the page, just shaking the paper. I have the
Yeah,
poem.
I think if you're just
It's pretty long.
Yeah, if you're just the guy that like plays the stand-up bass or even the drummer, I don't think we're putting your poem in.
I remember finding out about bands I like that the lead singer didn't write the songs, and it made me feel weird. I didn't love it. I like it better when the lead singer is the one who wrote the song. I don't know why. I think it's maybe because I'm like,
Well, that's
I
good.
can more feel it from like their point of view. It's like, oh, that person went through this, and I can.
I would say that's good.
Uh-huh.
This is better.
Yeah. Here we go. Andy, get ready for best.
Oh shit!
I
I
remember.
got to
do you know,
check out of your story while I think of best.
Do you know the song "Papa Loved Mama"? What's a Garth Brooks song? It's like "Papa Loved
No.
Mama, Lord, what a shame." And then it ends with Mama's cheating on him, and he drove his truck through the front of the hotel or motel and killed them both, and he went to jail for it. Right?
That's Papa Loves Mama.
Yeah.
It starts
So
off like a Dr. Seuss book.
Close
in real
family.
life.
I hear that song
You shouldn't have heard
as
it.
a kid.
Yeah.
Oh man, it was a hit. I hear that song, I'm like, what a song.
Uh-huh.
And then it gets to the murder, and I was like, fucking Garth Brooks has lived a life.
Yeah.
And I remember that song, you can look up whenever it came out, being the first one that initially I was like, Garth Brooks' dad murdered his mom. Then I started to think of other things of like, well, then he lost his virginity to that gal that owned that farm. I don't know if that lines up because he mentions his parents, and it did, like, the house of cards started to crumble because I was like, I bet he didn't.
Hold on a second.
Yeah. So he didn't did any, and I had like a full moment of like, did anyone's dad murder their mom? Like, who wrote this?
This can't be total fiction. Similar vibe to this, not exactly that. I was seeing a girl in high school who was very religious, and one time told me that she couldn't listen to Elton John songs because they were about other men. And it was the first time I'd ever even thought to think of them that way. But I was like, no, a love song is just, you think of it in terms of whoever you love. And she was like, no, I can't.
Interesting. Well, Elton John famously doesn't write his lyrics. That straight fella does.
Also a point I wish I could have made in high school.
A song about a man or a song about a woman?
I don't think it's either. I
up
think
to
it's
interpretation?
exactly, it's about love. It's the amount of times you listen to a song and you go, that's about my ex-girlfriend, is what all of them are supposed to be. Like, they're supposed to be like the ones that relate. You go like, that song is about me, or it's not about like Elton John and his, like, who would want to hear a song about somebody else?
I remember being in a band in high school and having the thought of, if my band is ever famous.
You were in the band?
I was in the band. We were pretty good. Did a lot of work with Bob Dylan. But I remember thinking, I was like, if my band is ever famous, I'm never going to tell people what our songs mean, because a song means something different to everyone who hears it. And so to tell you what it means to me ruins it in some way for you.
Yeah. Did you have that thought when you were listening to any songwriter ever being interviewed about what their song meant?
How pretentious they
feel
sound?
like it was a pretty common sentiment.
That's the thing I don't love in concerts.
Andy, I'm sitting here now in my late 30s. I'm fucking 15 years old in my parents' basement.
A nice thought. I thought it was a very mature thought.
Johnny Show Business comes over here.
I didn't even know he was making fun of you right there. Were you making fun of him?
Yeah, that's a very common thing that songwriters say.
I didn't even get it.
I don't want to say what it means. What it means to you is what it means.
No.
It's a weird thing with songwriting, because if I watch a comic and they, it's like, oh, my wife and I and my sister and I, and then you find out it's not true, I don't like them. I don't enjoy it. But if it's a musician, it doesn't matter. Is that an odd thing?
I would love to, this is something I wanted to talk about today, because a comedian
convenient.
It is convenient that it led right to it. This is
crazy.
This is something I wanted to talk about today. Now it seems like we did this on purpose, but there is a comedian.
Also, I've noticed you fucking really woke up now that we're talking about what you want to talk about. The energy's changed, the body language.
Woo! There's a comedian right now. I don't want to say his name. But he's in some hot water.
Yeah.
Because
Hassan Minaj?
Yeah, you were willing to say his name. Yeah, he's guilty of this thing that you just said.
Right.
And it is like a kind of a gray area where I get where he's coming from, of like, it's okay to embellish, it's okay to whatever. But I thought it would be a fun thing for us to talk about any bits we have that like are not 100% true. Well, like what percent true? I'll give you an example. Hassan Minaj is in trouble. If you don't know, he did some bit about his someone sending him anthrax and getting on his daughter, and it turns out that didn't happen. And another one about being rejected to the prom, and that also didn't happen. Anyway, so I just thought it would be interesting for us as comedians to say a bit that we had, like what was the truth to it, and then what was an embellishment.
I appreciate you bringing this up. I got to tell you, I'm not bald.
All right. Do you do bald bits?
I do a couple bald bits.
All right.
I felt like a fraud the whole time, but full
brother
head of
straight
hair.
as hell too.
The Hassan thing, I like briefly read a thing about it, and it feels like he's a bit under fire because there's like a racial aspect to it, and I think that the embellishment makes white people feel uncomfortable. Some white people feel uncomfortable in a way that they can go like, see, that stuff didn't happen. He's doing a thing that partly true that is embellished to something that actually happens but didn't happen to him. And I think when people hear it, they just used it as like, see that no, that doesn't exist. This guy just said he made it up. It's like become they really weaponized it very quickly. But in the end, it's like I don't love that style of comedy, but that's just me. Like I don't love it if you are telling a story that's presented as true, that's false. If you're doing like Richard Pryor, where you sit down and the dog comes up and it starts talking to you, I know that that didn't happen, and we're like in the line of like, oh, this story's true, but the dog part is the creative. Like I think that just comes from me growing up with every person that I loved lying to me. I don't love it in my entertainment.
Right.
So that's not to say it's 100%. The Minaj bits, there's good bits. There's not my favorite bits. There's like I don't know this whole thing, but I think generally, like Zach Galifianakis is a good example where when he does a long-ish story, I think everyone is on the same page that this is kind of made up, and that goes to the answer is I am like 99 to 100% true. In my I have it. It's like a fault. Like bits could be better. Slight embellishments are better. Even in response things where it's like, oh, this person said this, and if the punchline is something that would be better if it's like, oh, and then I just said, or the classic, without missing a beat, he said. I always say they should have said, or I could have. Like I put the like little, hey, like now this part, it would have been funny if it happened, and you're gonna laugh, but it didn't happen. We're on the same page here.
I will take the true situation. I think I am not giving you 100% of all of the words that were said. I'm making a lot of them funnier. But I'll take the situation is true. Like if I'm starting a thing of like this happened, but the details within that are not always, it's not you're not watching a documentary.
Let's hear an example, Alex.
I mean, there's an example of my mom finding out that I had watched porn, and in the bit version, she kicks my door open and like screams at me, which is not exactly how. I mean, my mom didn't kick the door down and go. I think the line was like, "What the fuck is Bang Bros?" But she did,
great sight.
Storm in and yell at me. But the situation was true, but like the drama of it was not as presented.
In that bit, I would say some version of like she basically, or it was like just same exact everything, but I'm acknowledging in very quick words that it's the kind of hyperbolic.
You're doing your bits like you're going to be on trials at some point.
I'm doing my whole life
I'm
about to be on trial. I don't send emails. I don't sign shit.
What about you, Andy Woodhull?
I think I'm hovering around 90% truth.
I feel that.
I will, in any joke I tell, my response is always the best response. If it's what I'm telling you the best thing that I could have said in the joke. The example I thought of when I was reading the Hassan Minaj one is I used to do this bit about my dog eating 100 condoms. And the truth is she ate probably 30 condoms because this happened in college, and I had gotten 100 condoms in the mail, but I was doing pretty well. And that's how many were left. And then in the bit, I say I call the vet, but I didn't call the vet. I called my girlfriend at the time who worked at the vet, who asked the vet, and that's what I got the advice from. And those are the embellishments. Everything else did happen.
This is if we're gonna break it down, it's gonna be a fun comedy chat now. I dig these. I'm thinking about that because I know that bit, and when I would do a bit like that or have like a story that I was trying to work out, and it was, oh, there's 100. It's like the funniest thing now is she ate them all,
right?
But then I would always make myself go like, the truth is she ate 30, so there were 70 left, and I had used 10. Like where's the joke in the actual truth of it? Because I felt like the embellishments came fast. So if I could find the joke in what's real that's even like close to as good as the embellishment, I would feel better about it. And that's where a lot of kind of like unexpected turns in a story or whatever would come from, is the what's the funny in 30 and leaving 7, like you realize how many condoms a dog can eat before they get sick or something, so next time to give her less, whatever the
That's a good
riffing is.
point. I mean, that's a good way to milk premise a little bit.
I love the milk.
Well, how do you feel about his defense that he came out and he said, he said these things did happen. He kind of doubled down on it. But I think within that, he said it's the emotional truth that's important in a piece of art, not necessarily.
And I agree with that. And I think I'm falling on the side of the comedian in almost all situations other than, actual crimes. You know what I mean? Like the comedian. I think we should have that license to embellish things. I just think that he maybe got a little bit to the Steve Renazizi. I think
Steve
that's
Renazizi, I think famously said he was in one of the towers on 9/11.
He escaped. No, I think he said his dad died in the towers on 9/11, and he did not.
But I thought he said he was in a tower and
Maybe.
like ran out.
The total. I believe the story was his dad died, and then it was like Pete Davidson was like, "Oh, now I'm the only one," because it used to be both of them.
I don't think the story is his dad died.
Something like that. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't remember.
I don't want to lie on his lie. But the thing with Hassan is like, didn't the Renazizi thing? The crazier part about the Renazizi thing was his was in interviews. It wasn't like, if you're talking about like someone's bit, I'm generally, outside of kind of hate speech, I'm going to be on the side of the comic, whether it's my cup of tea or not. And if you made up a story, you made up a story, but you're telling it as a bit. It's to me, the Renazizi one was like, what an interesting choice of a guy to just like bring that up in conversation.
I think people are taking issue with, in terms of Hassan, people are getting stuck on the presentation of it. I don't know if this is going to hold up as I get into, but we're going to find out. It's like if you went to an art show and someone was like, I drew everything that's here, and they look like photos. And it's like, I drew all of these, but it turns out they're photos. It's like, well, if you just would have said it's still good, but if you just would have said that it's a picture, you didn't actually draw it. Where I think, unless the point is like, I'm saying I drew these, but we're all aware when we come in that
the
that's
one
part
that
of
I read with the anthrax thing, like even in the bit, he says it wasn't anthrax. So the way I looked at that one was, something came in the mail. For a moment, he legitimately thought it was anthrax. Then also probably thought, like, what if this had gotten on my fucking kid? Then told that story as though that happened. They go to the hospital. They find out it's not. So there's actually no crime happened in that story or claimed to have happened.
But
it's
all the
fear
comedy
of it
comes from thinking it's happening.
But I'll say maybe there's also something of just kind of looking at it through a different lens of, there's the version where he wrote the fastest bit instead of being like, what would the bit be if you said, I thought it could have gotten on my kid versus it did get on my kid. And the other thought is, maybe you're telling a story that is not experienced by a large number of people, and you have to walk them down a more detailed road. Because, I would say, if I get an envelope and it has stuff on it, I'm not thinking about it the same way as a guy who's brown and a political commentary guy.
Do you know who does this most famously? And people have problems with him for other reasons, but Chappelle does this almost exclusively, is emotional truth comedy, where it's like, I'm telling you something as if it happened, but it didn't, or at least parts of it didn't.
Yeah,
but
that's
Chappelle gets a pass for me.
Yeah,
he does it constantly. And I think there's something about, whether it's how good it is or the presentation, that I do feel like I'm at least aware when we're entering into the emotional truth versus the actual real story, if that makes sense. Like I kind of feel like, all right, I'm in for the ride here. I know that at some point he's going to embellish.
Kick someone in the pussy.
No one
Not
likes to be tricked unless they know they're at a magic show where it's like you want to know.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
just want to know. That's all. I
yeah.
think.
I think I'm on Hassan's side in it, but when I read the story, I did think like, oh, this would be an interesting thing for us to talk about and how we.
Here's a fun memory that we've known each other so long and we're on the road at the same time for so long that I think I can't remember who this story happened to versus who told it to the other person. But a comic on stage doing a bit, I think this happened to you and you told me, comic on stage doing a bit about their lesbian sister.
Mm-hmm.
And then they come off stage and you or I go, oh, that's crazy about your sister, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, I don't even have a sister. Did that happen to me? Because if it did, I think I know the comedian. Did it happen to you?
I don't remember that. I remember a different one that I remember talking to you about that I asked him was a great friend of ours, did a bit about his sister going on a specific birth control and gaining a lot of weight. And then that didn't happen.
I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
You all right? Was it you?
No.
I would say that is.
I don't remember the lesbian.
That to me is like, I'll defend you in the press, but I am definitely not a fan of the like detailed stories of an experience that get people to come up to you and go, "Hey, I'm with you. I got a lesbian sister," and you presumably just have those conversations with people. That seems really gross to me. Like just back to Minaj for a second, like people that come up to him with a shared experience,
right?
There is some shared experience there. This isn't a completely made up woman.
That's also one of the bits that I bend the truth on is I tell a joke about my dad trying to set my brother up with other gay men. And in the joke, I do an impression of my dad with a thick Boston accent. My dad does not have a thick Boston accent. So
I don't think I'm going to count this as a lie.
Okay. He's
you know
from
what it
Boston.
is? I think it's just you're really bad at impressions.
That's what it could be. That I say he's from Boston, which he is. And then when he speaks in the joke, he has a thick Boston accent. But I think that is because it's funnier to do it that way.
Well, I'm from Boston, eh?
See, you're good.
See?
We got another one going.
Got a whole reel going.
Come on down here.
I also told Maura a story.
Very segregated.
A story about Hassan Minaj recently where Maura did a presentation in front of the whole zoo. She did a little presentation about the
Are you doing a bit right now?
All the animals?
She did a presentation about the new map at the zoo. She had to go up and tell everyone.
Did she bring Dora?
The zoo, the explorer.
They recast the map?
They recast the map. And she is all in her head because the director of the zoo was like, it needs to be 6 minutes. It has to be 6 minutes.
That's a helicopter.
Do not go over 6 minutes. And I was like, all that matters is that you do a good job. Only one person in the room knows how much time you've done. And if you're doing a good job, no one cares. And the story I told her was that when I did New Faces in Montreal, the first night of the festival, Hassan was the first unrepped or the first repped New Face of the New Face showcase. And you were supposed to do, I think, 6 minutes. Is that how long you get for New Faces? 6?
7, maybe.
6, 7. He did.
I wouldn't know.
He did 12 minutes.
Oh, that's offensive.
And blew by it. I was furious sitting in the audience, but he murdered. He destroyed and was like the darling of the festival and has since gone on to be, we're sitting here talking about him on our podcast. And I was like, no one cared. He did a good job, and that's all that matters. Just go up and do a good job.
I will never be on someone's side for running the light.
He blew by the light, my man. They were flashing it at him. People in the back of the room were going crazy.
I opened for the Pointer Sisters in Atlantic City on New Year's Eve one year.
Yeah.
And I go on at like maybe 9:30, and there's just very old people in the audience, a lot of people asleep. So before the show, there was a lot of discussion about time. You know, when you go to a big show, a big theater, New Year's Eve show, a lot of people are like, you're going to do this exact amount of minutes. There's shit's going down.
There's a ball dropping.
We can't have you fucking around going 5 over or 5 under. I'm supposed to do somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 minutes. And at 12 minutes, I think it's not going to be surprising to you guys who know me well enough. I just decided I don't care what the fallout is. I'm done doing this. And I just go, have a happy New Year. And I run off, not run off. I just walk off stage, having a bad set and a horrible time. And this guy runs up and he's losing his mind. One of the Pointer Sisters, I'm not going to call her out, not because I don't remember her name, but because I'm that kind of guy. But one of the Pointer Sisters isn't there yet.
The pointy one?
So he's this guy run up to me, mad at me, and being like, you did 12, you're supposed to do 20. I think it's probably supposed to do 22, actually. He's like, you're supposed to do this your time. This pointer not even here yet. What are we? He's freaking out. He's like, you're not getting paid. I'm docking your pay. And then one of the Pointer Sisters came over, and she just goes, it's going to be all right, baby. And then walked me to my green room with her arm around me.
I love her.
Love those sisters.
That sounds like the pointy one.
Give the name of the good one. Give the name of the good one.
Nah, you know, I'm not
Go ahead and give the name of the good one.
I don't
give her the
wanna
accolades
just
she
tell
deserves.
story. I know it,
Say it.
but I don't want to tell stories out of school.
Sure. Well,
You know, her Twitter blowing up, feeling all weird.
I dropped out. You can tell me.
Do you ever bomb on a major show like that? Where people, it's not fun.
I mean, I've definitely bombed.
Bombing's never fun.
You ever bombed on a huge show though?
I'm trying to think of the biggest show I bombed.
I'm not sure. I don't know that I've done a big show.
I did. Yeah, I don't know. I bombed a
Not even here's. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying it meaning like the Pointer Sisters. I don't consider that. It's like
I know
a
it's
New
a
Year's
huge,
Eve.
Yeah.
It's
there's
something
a huge
where
crowd.
I think of a big show as what
Yeah.
the audience's investment is.
I bombed in front of Drew Hastings at a theater in Toledo.
Yeah, people paid $45,
People were
$50 a ticket.
furious. I bomb. I bomb. He leaves the lights a little up in the house to see because he'll do crowd work sometimes. So this show, I bomb. Maybe this is one of the worst sets I've ever had. And he does a character called Jack Freeman. That's like this financial guru, and he's going to do it on the show. So, but he's got to get into the character where he's like a different suit and a hair, a wig. And so I bring him up. He does this Jack Freeman character. Then
he also does this super crazy Republican character.
Then he needs to, I wish it was a character.
He pays the
Then
taxes as him.
You know what's fucked up is he's one of the nicest. Like
I want to tell
all
the Drew
of
Hastings story when you finish.
the people that have been nice to me in comedy. He's on the Mount Rushmore and
Only
is just
been nice to
a
me.
fucking lunatic on the internet and in real life. But so he has to do a costume change, and so I have to go back up and do more material. And the house lights are up, and I can see people like talking to they're so mad that I'm back up there doing.
When you go back up, because I've also done that. I did it at a I can't remember what the acronym is, but it's a college showcase for community colleges in the Northwest, which felt like it was my demo. Minus the rain, these are my people.
Yeah.
And I go up and I bomb so hard, but then I got to go up like 6 times, and it's like do 3 minutes here and do 4 minutes here. At one point, they're chanting Kermit Apio, which I think I've told the story in the podcast. They're chanting Kermit, which is not. It's like the least fun name to have chanted at you. But I remember going after I've like bombed so much. Did you get to this point before in that one when you had to go up one more time? I started to be like, I'm not even thinking about how bombing. Like I'm not. By the third time, I wasn't thinking about how I came here and I thought I was going to book 50 colleges and make a ton of money, and now that money's gone, or what could this do for my reputation in the Northwest? I was thinking of like how bad this must be for those people in this audience to have watched this. Like you're going after an act, so I'm like, this band fucking kills it, and next up is this ventriloquist You can't see his fucking lips moving if you had a magnifying glass.
Uh-huh.
But I got to go up for 3 minutes.
Was it that frog?
And just ruin
It was
their
a frog,
night.
yeah.
It's such a bummer. I
Yeah.
hate making people feel that way.
I go to a different place when I like in a situation like that where I'm just like, I know these jokes are not going to work. I have to do them, so I'm just talking, and I'm like, it sucks, but I'm just like, I'll take my licks and then be gone. Andy, what's the
Here's
biggest
my
show
Drew
you've done?
Hastings story.
Oh, yeah.
I'm opening for Drew Hastings on the road somewhere, and my dad used to drive his RV around. You know, he would just go on these RV trips by himself, and sometimes he would see where I was on the road and just meet me, and we would have a fun father-son weekend together.
Mhm.
And so he meets me. We're at I think it's some Funny Bone somewhere, and Drew Hastings the headliner. My dad's hanging out with us in the green room. Drew Hastings is like, John, that's my dad's name. John, what pisses you off? You know, what's like your big pet peeve? And my dad's so into driving, loves the RV life. And he's like, I like to set the cruise control. I like to set the cruise control, and I don't like to mess with it. So I hate when people go in front of me and then slow down, and I got to turn the cruise control off. And then Drew Hastings riffs 10 minutes during his set about having to turn the cruise control off, just riffs it. And my dad's like, this is the best comedy show I've ever seen.
That
This is
may
the greatest
be
comedian I've ever
The
seen.
coolest thing
It was
that you
awesome.
could have
Cool.
happen
It was
to you.
awesome.
That's
Yeah.
pretty-
As an audience member.
Or your dad's like, it's my fucking business. Piece of shit.
He's doing my bit.
What the fuck is this?
My dad's asking him for money
Yeah.
afterwards.
Hey.
Yeah. Bits are like $200 each. So go ahead and pay up.
Someone riffing a bit, that's great. It's also Drew Hastings doesn't surprise me that he could do that. He's so good.
He's so funny.
He's
He
so
also-
funny.
He had me. I've opened shows for him literally in a steel barn in the middle of Ohio, like middle of nowhere, Ohio, just for farmers, and like a lot of like very rural shows. And I never did great on them, but he is a physically imposing. He's huge.
Tall guy.
And he does like this thing where he comes up on stage. He's this huge presence, and when I'd be like, and Drew Hastings, and everyone goes crazy, and then he walks up, and when we would shake hands, he's so much bigger than me that he would shake my hand and
Your
yank
feet
me
would come off the ground.
He would yank me off this, like he would pull himself up and yank me off. It felt like getting the hook at the Apollo, where he was just like yoink, and then into his set. But it was so humiliating and demoralizing after just bombing in front of
man.
everyone.
I don't know what his live show's like.
He murders.
If this kind of internet character bleeds into the live show.
Not when I did shows with him before he'd become the mayor and then after he'd become the mayor, and he wasn't doing anything political. It was still the kind of
His stand-up comedy's fun.
You know, the Beverly Hills farmer, and it was great. I mean, he was very funny.
Really can handle an audience anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Not many people. He's someone that I would say is probably like a natural comedian. That's the thing I do, where I watch and I go, this person, I think, kind of born to do this. This person, not so much.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is his thing. It's just a bit of a bummer if you follow him on Twitter or something like that.
He had the joke I think about the most is, if you're unfamiliar with the Drew Hastings story, he was a comedian, lived in LA for a long time, from Ohio, and then moved back to Ohio and bought a farm. And it was very much like a Green Acres character that he would do, talk about like farming.
He's in a suit.
As this guy in a suit, Gucci glasses. And the line is, you ever notice how a deer walking through a cornfield in the middle of the night sounds exactly like three men with an axe? This is my favorite line. But
Do we do it?
that's a podcast, gentlemen.
All right. Andy, you
Andy?
got some tour dates?
This weekend I will be in Bristol, Tennessee.
What's those dates?
Friday, Saturday. It is.
Just in case someone listens next
this weekend?
weekend.
It is September 22nd, 23rd,
Oh.
and the 24th. I will be in Rosemont, Illinois, at Zany's.
Get your
It's
tickets.
Sunday
Huge picture of Pat
Come-
McGann there still?
coming up.
Great.
All right. Thanks
See
for
ya.
listening. Bye.
Bye.